Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Bearable Bull here. And I got this aggressively average content for you today. As man, do I have a start for a video for you today. 2 years ago, the SEC sued Ripple and XRP got delisted. It's been 2.5 years and they've still found no fraud. It's been 2.5 years of maxis cheering for our downfall. It's been 2.5 years of no help from the crypto industry. It's been 2.5 years and the XRP army is about to be proven correct. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I speak for all of us when I say fuck the SEC and fuck the maxis. Right here, right now, we are going to be vindicated. We're going to be proven correct. Everyone that laughed at us, cheered when we missed our bull run, is going to be wishing they held XRP at all. Here, guys, what you need to understand is that Ripple and XRP have been continuing to build. We are revolutionaries and pioneers in this space. And I'm going to play you a brief clip from Crypto Mason showing 110% confirmation that Ripple and the Bank for International Settlements are partnered together. For those people that think Ripple's going to fail, just keep in mind that we have multi-trillion-dollar partners.
It's now been confirmed that Ripple is working directly with the Bank of International Settlements on a new project called Polaris. Now, this project is about making CBDCs work offline. So if the internet goes down or you can't access the internet, you want the CBDC, the central bank digital currency, to still work, whether there's no internet. So they're preparing for the cyber attacks, the blackouts, and making sure that a CBDC is equal to cash in terms of, you can still use it when there's no internet. And we know that Ripple's working on this because the handbook for offline payments with CBDCs has contributions from people who work at Ripple. And that can be seen here. Anthony Ralphs from Ripple and Anthony Welfare are contributing or have contributed to this document. Bullish, bullish, bullish.
And ladies and gentlemen, that is absolutely bullish. You see, we come here every day and report on what the future of the financial system is actually going to look like, while the maxis try to sell you an ideal of what it can look like. Something tells me that the multi-trillion-dollar central banks and the central bank of central banks, cough, cough, BIS, they're not going to relinquish power to some random internet trolls and some people that collected Bitcoin. Now, that being said, we've also discussed the very real potential of blackout cyber attacks and other black swan events on this channel. And while I'm not confirming that any of those will happen with 110% certainty, I will tell you that you just need to keep that in the back of your mind. Problem, reaction, solution is how the elites play the game, and I can't stress that enough. Now, we see here Stu Alderati, Ripple's general counsel, state in 1946, the SEC unsuccessfully argued in their Howey brief that an investment contract in a common enterprise was unnecessary, provided there was a community of interest. The SEC was wrong then and it's still wrong now. Common interest does not equal common enterprise, and that is the difference. That is a game changer. That is Ripple versus the XRP army. And what an incredible argument Stu Alderati highlighted.
When you buy securities, you get a piece of paper.
Yeah,
if you buy a digital currency, do you get anything electronically or otherwise?
In Howey, there were
the terms of the contract.
No, nothing. In Howey, there was a contract. In Warfield, there was a contract. If plaintiff here bought XRP on an exchange, he received no contract. It imposed no obligations on Ripple. And this is something that you'll hear from us at summary judgment. But how can there be an investment contract without a contract, in the first place? Investment contract is a type of contract.
And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, has always been an interesting one to me. How the hell are you going to prove that Ripple and XRP investors joined into a common enterprise when people in that secondary market, especially XRP community members, didn't even know what Ripple was? There's not even an investing contract. Where is the contract? You can't find one because it does not exist. Keep that in mind when people try to fudge you out of the best digital asset ever created. Now, here we go with the continued politicization of the digital asset space, specifically central bank digital currencies. Ron DeSantis proposed an anti-CBDC bill that just passed the House and Senate. And yet again, I'll say this. One of my biggest fears is that the digital asset space would get politicized. And here we are, seeing that the Democrats are more anti-crypto, but more pro-CBDC. And the Republicans are more pro-crypto and anti-CBDC. It is so difficult to be an American right now, especially an American retail investor. I want digital assets to thrive, but I also want to maintain my freedom. XRP is my biggest holding, but I also know XRP will be core infrastructure for central bank digital currencies. This is the dilemma, and something I want to show to all of you is what the digital pound in the UK is being proposed as. It is a frightening scenario to say the least. But if nothing else, I want all of you to be mentally prepared for the financial system they want all of you to come into.
So the first few features I'm going to talk about are interest and limits. So in our consultation paper, we lay out that a digital pound would not pay interest. It would be intended as a means of payment, not intended as a savings product, and it wouldn't be intended to enhance the Monetary Policy Committee's toolkit. This isn't seen as a motivation for its introduction. So therefore, we would not use remuneration in order to incentivize uptake. Secondly, there would be a limit on how much users would be able to hold. At least during a digital pound's introduction, a limit of between 10 to 20,000 is proposed. 20,000 pounds, is proposed. This would help to manage risks by constraining deposit outflows from the banking system during the introductory period. Thirdly, non-UK residents would be able to use digital pounds too, when visiting the UK, for example, as tourists, and when outside the UK for payments with either a UK.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. The admission of what CBDCs, specifically what the digital pound will be. It will be a means of payment and not intended to be used as a savings product. You will not earn interest on CBDCs. It will be a tool for a number of reasons. First and foremost, there will be a limit on how much you could hold. This will stop upwards economic mobility. This will prevent an individual's economic sovereignty to improve. And what I want to stress to every single one of you is this. I have a massive fear when central bank digital currencies get adopted, that if you're not rich, or at the very least, you're not going to profit handsomely from the implementation of this system, there will be no hope for you in the new world. I can't stress this enough. This is the world we're heading into. Social credit scores, carbon credits, limits on what you can buy, limits on where you can go, limits on what you can eat, how much you could travel. These are all gonna come into play. You will have expiration dates on your CBDCs. And if China is any example of what CBDCs will look like worldwide, you'll have your digital ID linked to your CBDC, and you'll be shamed publicly for having a social credit score too low to be able to do things in society. This is the world we're heading into. And the health crisis of 2022 was the excuse to accelerate the adoption of this system.
Fed has mismanaged monetary policy arguably worse than they ever have before. And you don't have to take my word for it. If you don't believe me, look at Russia, look at the UAE, look at everyone is starting to orchestrate and organize global trade outside of the US dollar, George. What the Fed looks and feels like they're in the corner of a boxing ring, covering their ribs, covering their chin, and the boxer, they're waiting for the bell to ring. They're waiting for the round to be over. They're waiting to be Vaselined up, and everyone's just wailing on the Fed. They mismanaged this entirely. They left rates so low, the excess amount of liquidity injected to the system combined with the fastest rate hike ever. They bankrupted their own banks. The banks, in order for the banks to survive, George, they're going to have to sell the Fed bonds, and the Fed can't afford that. So they're not going to meet 2% inflation. We're going to live in a new era of dollar inflation. Dollar inflation may land at 4, 5, 6, 7% in perpetuity, and that's what you're seeing, the reaction from gold. So the writing's on the wall. Anyone with a brain knows that you got to invest in gold, you got to invest in Bitcoin, any asset with a supply cap, which implies they don't have a relationship with rates, which implies that there's a much more authentic to supply demand. It's already being priced in, and the Fed screwed up, and it's a really big deal.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, that was CEO of Strike, Jack Mullers, letting us know what the Fed did, and this all happened as a direct consequence to the health crisis response. There would not have been the significant drop of interest rates, money printer go like scenario, had the health crisis response not been as drastic as it was. Lockdowns were a mistake. All of these responses were a mistake. And with 2020 hindsight, I think all people now realize this. But I'm here to tell all of you, all of this was planned and coordinated because the financial system needed an accelerant for its self-destruction. Their ultimate goal is to hyperinflate the currencies and to take things into negative interest rate territory. I think the United States has backed itself into the corner. The Fed has backed itself into a corner, and it's one we cannot get out of. But it's always been done on purpose. And if you've read the documents and have followed the XRP army for years, you'll know why. And it's for them to pivot onto the XRP-based financial system. Everything in the financial world is always predetermined. That's why we can always predict it if we have the facts on our side. The XRP community's always had the facts on their side. And I need you to have that confidence as we're almost across the finish line. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Bearable Bull here. Thanks for tuning in. As always, I appreciate every single one of you. Now I'll be back tomorrow with another video.
Why do I hold XRP? Because Ripple's the chosen one to lead the new global digital payment system, and they use XRP. In 2013, the Federal Reserve began looking for faster payments options. 2 years later, an action plan was born and a federal payments task force was created. It included one company focused on crypto, Ripple. In 2014, the World Bank and Better Than Cash Alliance, which includes the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Clinton Global Initiative, and the governments of 32 countries, put out a report called The Opportunities of Digitizing Payments. 1 year later, the Better Than Cash Alliance featured one crypto company on their website, Ripple. Today, Better Than Cash Alliance and all other UN initiatives are focused on a single agenda, the Sustainable Development Goals for 2030. You can see the SDGs logo on Bill Gates' lapel, world-leading companies, the Better Than Cash Alliance website, and on the UN's official exchange, Exchange. What crypto is Exchange officially utilizing for their carbon credit solution? XRP. The world will move to a new international standard for exchanging electronic messages between financial institutions by 2025 called ISO 20022. Who was the first ISO 20022 member focused on distributed ledger technology? Ripple. Who's partnered with over 300 financial institutions, including Bank of America, American Express, PNC, Santander, SBI, HSBC, Standard Chartered Bank, Bank of England, India, Singapore, Scotland, Australia, and Indonesia, the largest banks in Japan, Canada, Egypt, the Middle East, United Arab Emirates, Thailand, Morocco, Morocco, Bhutan, South Korea, Brazil, and Latin America? Ripple. Who is a former employee overseeing the Federal Reserve? Ripple. A former employee overseeing the world's largest asset manager, BlackRock's digital asset division? Ripple. Leading Australia's CBDC effort? Ripple. Who hired a former Treasury of the United States? Ripple. 2 former Federal Reserve attorneys to their board? Ripple. 2 former Clinton and Obama advisors? Former Minister of Defense and Economics of Germany? Former business director at Swift? Former Swift board member? Former CFO of PayPal? Former head of the DTCC? Former chief business officer at Uber? Former VP of Amazon and former SEC chair on their legal team? Ripple. Who's a member of the Digital Pound Foundation, Digital Dollar Project, Digital Euro Association, Mojaloop, IMF's high-level advisory board on fintech, Hyperledger Blockchain Consortium, Open Payments Coalition, Faster Payments Council, Global Payments Steering Group, Cross-Border Working Group, International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications, Crypto Climate Accord, University Blockchain Initiative, World Wide Web Consortium, and a featured partner of the World Economic Forum with 3 members of their team directly listed on the WF website? Ripple. Now, does Ripple and XRP sound like they're going to disappear, or do they sound like they're part of a much bigger plan? You decide.